Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
Joss breaks out the counter-spy training as she creeps through her Mama-S hall, slowly opens the garret door and pulls a gun on Valentin. Russell. But also she deviates from sanctioned procedure to protest him in the crotch and dynamo scourge him. At least, we're assuming that's not official. As she's tying him up, however, Carly shows up and Josslyn catches on fast. Of course, Carly makes no bones about abetting a fugitive to get Agent Jax out of the WSB. Josslyn and Carly go at each other. Carly, unexpectedly, keeps her cool as Josslyn flips out at her and no way mind. There's that temper. Carly starts crying right back, so Josslyn hurries her mama downward for a stern talking to, and they go back and forth. Easter Island, Australia, Josslyn's been lying her lying face off. Yeah? Well, lying to you was the assignment. Should we play a shot game every time they say lying? This was each, Josslyn yells, the price of justice. The justice of killing Cyrus, after she hunted him down for boggling decks. Carly is spooked. And it gets worse when she learns that Jack led her to Cyrus. Does taking someone's life matter? We'll just pretend you did and ask that, Carly. Josslyn won't, however. She lays on her Mama-S insincerity and ignoring how important of a monster Sonny is, who gets or nearly gets all his kitties killed. Josslyn's taking him and everyone differently down, mercifully and eventually. Britt can't stay down from Jason. Jack pays Jason a visit to find out what he and Cullum talked about. Jason evades the question, so Brennan says it's to keep Josslyn safe. Also just flat out says Jason owes him for making the substantiation against Carly go down. That, at least, gets Jason to yield a bit and says they just talked about Britt and their relationship. As Britt rolls over losing her first case since returning to the sanitarium, Liz reminds her that she saved the baby. They mount praises on each other, but latterly, Britt visits Jason, demanding a sturdy shoulder. Out of all she's been through recently, losing a case is the worst, so Jason pulls her close in a clinch. Felicia reads Lulu the riot act. Nathan and Lulu sparring for a kiss right in front of Felicia. Maxie's mama waits until Nathan leaves, also calls Lulu out for kissing your stylish friend's hubby. Hussy. Could she be presently unhappy? Also again, as Lulu points out, Maxie formerly chose Spinelli. Husband switching between besties, Felicia explains, is different from hooking up with non-natives. Well, she's not wrong. Lulu promises to tell Maxie the coming time she sees her. Felicia's not impressed, however, and storms out. Brooklyn's heartbroken. Brooklyn's freaking out as she tries filling out forms for Delilah and the baby, indeed though she and Chase know nothing about the woman. Nathan shows up to tell them that they didn't have any luck chancing out anything about Delilah. They'll keep digging, but there's not important to do. Brooklyn keeps lamenting how that poor little baby doesn't have family, and we all know that's where this is going. It gets worse when Felicia tells her the tot's named Jane Doe for now, so Brooklyn and Chase go to visit so they can name her duly. Justine and Sonny finish their fling. Sonny brings some scotch back to the bedroom and Justine's touched to learn he owns the structure and has the apartment in case Christina needs a place to crash after work. Anything for his mob princess, even more, it's nice and private, because, as Justine says, if anyone sees they spent the night together, they'd be destroyed. Still, they've got zero regrets. Especially since Justine scratched her itch, so this is no way, ever passing again. Right. This is a text case of one and done. Laying it on a little thick there, ADA. In the show's final moments, Brooklyn is just agonized upon seeing the baby, so Chase promises to find her family. And until also, she has them, and after, too, will stake. Lulu tells Nathan about Felicia's lingo lashing. She owes Maxie the verity and it's time to enjoy her passions. Carly begs Josslyn not to throw her life down because of Sonny. Her response? Carly has 24 hours to get relief of Valentin or Josslyn will do it herself. Valentin shows up formally Joss gone, having Houdini'd out of the bond. Kai, Trina, Gio, and Emma hang out at the surf lodge. Emma reveals she got an alert from the HOH that someone suspects a canine is in the structure. Gio promises not to bring Hiss around presently, but Kai has an idea. Kai says they can be given a pass if they subscribe Fizz Up as a support canine. That's when a waitress delivers a cupcake, and Trina surprises Kai as it's his birthday. When she sings happy birthday to him, she earns the table free drinks as she impresses the patrons. This gives Gio an idea. Gio explains that Charlie's is continuing and Christina is starting an open mic night. He thinks Trina should subscribe up, and the others encourage her to do it. Mutter no stylish. Albrecht meets with Nina and Nathan at Crimson to try to sort out the situation between Nathan and Maxie before she leaves city. Albrecht explains she's been invited to a medical conference in New Zealand. Nathan reminds his mama that Maxie has moved on, and so has he. When Albrecht learns about Lulu, she's furious, and indeed more so that Nina knew about this and encouraged it. Nathan notes this is his life to figure out. Maxie chose Spinelli, and he wants him and Lulu to figure this out on their own. Maxie's not having a good day. Lulu drops by Maxie's office, where her friend is dealing with the mess Lucy got them into with Sidwell. Lulu says he came then because of commodity differently that happened while she was gone. Lulu tells Maxie that she and Nathan got close while Maxie was in her coma. Maxie asks her to help her understand this. Lulu explains she was trying to help Nathan get to know James, and during all the issues with Rocco's trouble and Valentin's escape, they set up themselves together more and more, and they came involved. Lulu swears they didn't plan this, and they ended effects when she woke up. Maxie asks if they slept together, and Lulu asserts that it no way went that far. Lulu stepped down and wanted her friend to have her hubby back. Maxie notes she chose Spinelli. Is that what Lulu wanted to hear? Did she come to get authorization to be with Nathan? Lulu says she came to be honest with her, and Nathan has a right to move on just as Maxie has. Maxie agrees, just not with her. What's next for Carly and Valentin? At Carly's, she and Valentin bandy whether Joss would really turn them in. At first, Carly thinks she'd only turn Valentin in, but has to admit, Joss has changed, and this goes deeper than the WSB and Jack. She explains Joss joined the WSB to bring Sonny and people like him to justice. She blames herself for all the choices Joss has made, as she brought Sonny into their lives. Carly cries that when she was looking into Joss' eyes, it was like looking at her youngish Tone, the one determined to destroy her mama's life. She fears Joss will ruin her life if she's not stopped. Joss makes demands of Jason. Joss shows up at the storehouse to see Jason, who's with Britt. She coldly tells Britt to get out as she has business with Jason. Irked, Britt leaves, and Joss switches out at Jason for telling her mama that she's in the WSB. Jason says he couldn't let Carly be manipulated by Jack, who kept putting her in peril. Still, he did tell Carly that she had to keep Joss cover to cover her. Joss says now her mama is trying to save her by teaming up with Valentin. Jason is floored and notes Valentin must have a way to get Joss out of the WSB, which is why Carly is helping him. He asks if she's told anyone about this, or if she will. Joss can't tell anyone, as her mama will go to captivity for helping Valentin. Joss insists her mama will hear to Jason, so he has to move her to drop Valentin. Jack gets a wake-up call. Britt goes back to her office to find an unhappy Jack staying for her. He wants updates on Faison's design and threatens to charge her for her crimes at the Five Poppies if she doesn't cooperate. She tells him that he's the least of her problems, as Cullum is Sidwell's mate, he's a double agent, and the real adversary. Jack thinks she's bluffing, but she informs him that Cullum has been sabotaging him since day one, which is why all his operations have failed. Jack asks if Cullum knows about Joss. Britt doubts it as she'd be dead by now. Jack says she's not off the hook, and he still wants updates. He storms out. Britt also heads to Crimson and learns from Albrecht that Nathan and Maxie have agreed to part ways, and Nathan has passions for Lulu. Albrecht vows that as of moment, she'll no longer intrude in her son's life, in the show's final moments. After important pushing from her musketeers, Trina agrees to sing at Charlie's open mic night. Gio makes an advertisement to the entire surf lodge, which breaks out in applause. Albrecht tells Nathan she wants him to be safe, but for now, she's off. Britt chases her out, saying, "You're traveling? You could have started out with that." Nathan brings up what a coexistence it's that his mama got invited to this conference and wouldn't be around to intrude, as if someone with connections arranged this. Nina says such a person must love him veritably much, and they embrace. Outside the office, Albrecht tells Britt she's not concerned, believing Nathan will no way come between Lulu and Maxie and will bow out gracefully. At her office, Maxie informs Lulu she's not going to give her authorization to see Nathan. Agonized, Lulu believes they can get past this, but Maxie says, "You suppose?" Lulu states she might not believe it now, but she hopes she'll ultimately. Lulu also departs. Maxie looks at a family print of Spinelli and her kitties. Jack calls Melinda, the WSB director in Belgium, and needs a favor. He asks that this stay a secret, and he needs Cullum's diary and expenditure reports for the last 3 times. At the storehouse, Jason asks Joss if she told her mama about Cullum. Joss says she didn't. To distract her, she told her mama she was targeting Sonny and those like him. Jason is spooked and says Brennan is manipulating her by using Sonny. She reminds Jason that he was her age when Sonny made him a life-changing job offer. Jason conters, "I made my choice," and Joss replies, "So did I." He tells her that she made a mistake. Again, she tells him to make sure her mama cuts Valentin loose. Joss storms out. Eventually, Carly tells Valentin that he has to leave, but he refuses. He says they're mates, and he wouldn't leave her to take care of Jack, Sidwell, and Cullum on her own. Carly grabs Valentin and pulls him into a passionate kiss, which snappily escalates to the bedroom. In the quiet hours of the evening, when the house should have been calm and still, Josslyn moved through the hallway like a shadow, every step measured, every breath controlled, as if she were rehearsing the countless drills drilled into her during her secret training. The floorboards barely creaked beneath her feet as she crept toward the attic, her senses sharpened by the knowledge that danger might be waiting just beyond the door. She paused at the bottom of the stairs, listening. Silence. Slowly, almost painfully slowly, she reached out and turned the knob, pushing the attic door open just enough to slip through. The faint light revealed a figure inside. Without hesitation, Josslyn raised her gun and aimed it directly at Valentin. For a heartbeat, neither of them spoke. The tension hung thick in the air, sharp as a blade. Valentin looked stunned, clearly not expecting to find Carly's daughter standing there with a weapon trained on him. But the shock didn't last long. Josslyn's training had prepared her for moments like this, though perhaps not exactly the way things unfolded next. Instead of following whatever protocol the agency might have expected, she took matters into her own hands, literally. With swift precision she lashed out, driving her foot forward in a brutal kick that doubled Valentin over before he could react. As he staggered, she struck him again, the butt of the pistol cracking against his head. It was quick, messy, and definitely not textbook procedure, but it got the job done. Soon she had him restrained, trussed up and unable to move, breathing hard as adrenaline coursed through her veins. That was when Carly arrived. The timing couldn't have been worse, or more revealing. Josslyn's eyes narrowed immediately as the pieces began falling into place. Carly didn't even try to pretend innocence. Instead, she openly admitted she had been helping Valentin evade capture, essentially aiding a fugitive, all in the hope that Agent Jax might finally break free from the shadowy grip of the WSB. The admission ignited a spark that quickly turned into a raging fire between mother and daughter. At first Carly tried to keep her composure while Josslyn unleashed her fury, but it didn't take long before the famous Carly temper erupted. Voices rose. Accusations flew. Josslyn, refusing to let the argument happen in front of their prisoner, marched her mother downstairs so they could hash things out properly. The confrontation that followed was explosive. They hurled words at each other like weapons, each revelation cutting deeper than the last. Josslyn accused Carly of lies, of manipulation, of undermining everything she had been working toward. Carly shot back with disbelief and outrage, struggling to understand how her daughter had changed so drastically. Soon the conversation spiraled into the truth about Josslyn's secret operations. Carly demanded to know about the lies, Easter Island, Australia, all the elaborate stories Josslyn had spun. Josslyn's response came sharp and unapologetic. Lying had been part of the assignment. That was the job. She had done what she was ordered to do. In her mind, every deception had served a greater purpose. Justice. That word echoed through the argument again and again. Justice for Dex, the man Josslyn had loved, the man Cyrus had murdered. Josslyn revealed with cold determination that she had hunted Cyrus down herself, tracking him relentlessly until she finally ended his life. Carly was horrified. The idea that her daughter had become a killer shook her to the core. Yet the shock deepened further when she learned Jack had been the one guiding Josslyn toward that deadly encounter. Carly struggled to comprehend how any of this could possibly be justified. Didn't taking a life matter anymore? Didn't the weight of that act mean something? Josslyn, however, wasn't interested in moral lectures. Instead, she turned Carly's own history against her, calling out the hypocrisy she saw so clearly. For years Carly had defended Sonny, a man whose criminal empire had repeatedly endangered everyone around him, including his own children. Josslyn's voice burned with anger as she pointed out the countless times Sonny's lifestyle had nearly gotten them killed. Yet Carly had always stood by him. How was that different? In Josslyn's eyes, Sonny represented everything wrong with the world she was trying to dismantle. And now she was determined to bring it all down: Sonny, the criminals like him, the entire system that protected them. Her mission, she insisted, would end things once and for all, mercifully and finally. While that family war raged, other dramas were unfolding across town. Jack Brennan paid Jason an unexpected visit, hoping to learn what Jason and Cullum had discussed earlier. Jason, ever cautious, dodged the question at first, refusing to reveal anything. Brennan insisted his motives were tied to Josslyn's safety, though his tone suggested there were deeper agendas at play. Eventually he reminded Jason of a debt, how he had made damaging evidence against Carly disappear. That reminder forced Jason to soften slightly. He admitted that the conversation with Cullum had revolved mostly around Britt and their complicated relationship. Meanwhile, Britt herself was struggling with grief after losing her first patient since returning to the hospital. Liz tried to comfort her, reminding her that she had saved a baby's life even if the mother hadn't survived. The two women exchanged heartfelt praise and encouragement, acknowledging each other's strength as doctors and as friends. Yet the reassurance couldn't fully ease Britt's pain. Later she sought out Jason, needing someone steady to lean on. Of all the tragedies she had faced in recent months, the loss of that patient weighed on her the most. Jason responded with quiet empathy, pulling her into a comforting embrace that spoke louder than words. Elsewhere, tensions flared in a very different corner of Port Charles when Felicia caught Nathan and Lulu sharing a kiss, right in front of her. The shock quickly turned into outrage. Felicia waited until Nathan left before confronting Lulu, scolding her fiercely for kissing her best friend's husband. Lulu tried to defend herself, pointing out that Maxie had already chosen Spinelli. But Felicia remained unimpressed, arguing that romantic entanglements between best friends were messy enough without dragging strangers into the mix. Lulu promised she intended to tell Maxie the truth, though Felicia clearly doubted the sincerity of that plan. Across town, Brooke Lynn faced a completely different kind of emotional crisis. She and Chase were struggling to fill out paperwork related to a mysterious woman named Delilah and her newborn baby, but they knew almost nothing about the woman's background. Nathan arrived with disappointing news. Despite their efforts, there was still no information about Delilah. The investigation would continue, but leads were scarce. Brooke Lynn couldn't stop thinking about the infant left behind with no family to claim her. The situation broke her heart, especially when Felicia informed them the baby had temporarily been labeled Jane Doe. Determined to offer some kind of love and identity, Brooke Lynn and Chase decided to visit the child themselves and choose a proper name. Meanwhile, Sonny and Justine wrapped up what both insisted was a brief and strictly temporary fling. Sonny returned to the bedroom carrying a bottle of scotch, explaining that he owned the building and maintained the apartment as a private refuge, especially useful for Christina whenever she needed a place to unwind after work. Justine appreciated the privacy, noting that if anyone discovered they had spent the night together their reputations would be destroyed. Even so, neither of them seemed particularly regretful about what had happened. Justine jokingly declared the encounter a one and done, claiming she had satisfied her curiosity and had no intention of repeating the experience. Whether anyone believed that was another matter entirely. As the day's events continued to ripple outward, Brooke Lynn's heartbreak intensified when she finally saw the baby. Chase reassured her that they would find the child's family eventually, but until then, the baby wouldn't be alone. Lulu, meanwhile, told Nathan about Felicia's angry confrontation and admitted she owed Maxie complete honesty. It was time to face her feelings head-on. Back at Carly's house, the tension remained suffocating. Carly pleaded with Josslyn not to destroy her own future out of anger towards Sonny. Josslyn's answer was chillingly firm. Carly had exactly 24 hours to get rid of Valentin. If she failed, Josslyn would handle the problem herself. Valentin later reappeared after somehow escaping the restraints Josslyn had left him in, proving once again how slippery he could be. Meanwhile, a lighter moment unfolded at the surf lodge where Kai, Trina, Gio, and Emma were spending time together. Emma mentioned receiving a building alert suggesting someone suspected a dog was being kept there illegally. Gio promised to stop bringing his dog Fizz around, but Kai proposed a clever workaround, registering Fizz as a support animal. The conversation shifted when a waitress delivered a cupcake, revealing it was Kai's birthday. Trina surprised him by singing "Happy Birthday," earning applause from nearby patrons and even scoring the group free drinks. The festive moment inspired Gio with another idea. Charlie's was reopening, and Christina planned to host an open mic night. He encouraged Trina to perform there, a suggestion her friends enthusiastically supported. In another storyline, Albrecht met with Nina and Nathan at Crimson to address the ongoing tension between Nathan and Maxie before she left town. She explained she had been invited to a medical conference in New Zealand, though Nathan suspected there might be more to the timing than coincidence. When Albrecht learned about Nathan's growing feelings for Lulu, she reacted with fury, especially toward Nina for knowing about the situation and encouraging it. Nathan insisted the decisions about his love life belonged to him alone. Later, Lulu visited Maxie's office to confess everything about what had happened while Maxie was in a coma. She described how she and Nathan had grown closer during that difficult period, bonding while trying to help him connect with his son James and dealing with other crises swirling around them. The relationship had developed gradually, almost accidentally, and Lulu emphasized they had ended things once Maxie woke up. She also clarified they had never slept together. Maxie listened carefully, trying to process the revelation. Although she acknowledged she had chosen Spinelli, the idea of Lulu and Nathan together still hurt deeply. Lulu insisted she came only to be honest, not to ask permission. Maxie replied bluntly that honesty didn't erase the betrayal she felt. Their friendship now hung by a fragile thread. Meanwhile, Jack Brennan began investigating Cullum more aggressively, requesting secret records from the WSB director in Belgium. At the warehouse, Jason confronted Josslyn about her mission and the dangerous manipulation he believed she was under. Josslyn argued she had made her own choices, just as Jason had when he first joined Sonny's organization years earlier. Jason warned her she was making a terrible mistake. Josslyn refused to back down, insisting he needed to convince Carly to cut ties with Valentin. The day ended with a shocking twist. Carly, overwhelmed by the mounting chaos and danger surrounding her family, told Valentin he needed to leave for everyone's safety. Valentin refused. He insisted they were partners now and he wouldn't abandon her to face enemies like Jack, Sidwell, and Cullum alone. The tension between them crackled until Carly suddenly grabbed him and pulled him into a fierce, impulsive kiss. One moment of passion led to another, and before long the two disappeared into the bedroom, leaving the future more uncertain than ever. The conflicts, secrets, and emotional storms swirling around Port Charles showed no signs of calming anytime soon. In fact, if anything, the battles between loyalty and justice, love and betrayal, family and ambition were only just beginning. And as Josslyn continued down her dangerous path, convinced she was fighting for righteousness, everyone around her braced for the inevitable consequences that would follow. High voltage fire.